everybody. Welcome to the Good Evening Kitties podcast, a Tales from the Crypt review. My name is Melissa, your ghostess with the mostest, and today we're talking about Season 2, Episode 8 for Cryin Out Loud. Today I have a special guest with me, my friend Dan.
Hey, how's it going?
Oh, pretty good. Thanks for coming out and doing this with me.
Yeah, anytime. This is fun.
Okay, so we just got done watching the episode, so we're going to kind of go through here, but first, before we get started, let's see. So, this episode was directed by Jeffrey Price. He is mostly a screenplay writer, but this is his only director credit. As always, John Kassir does the voice of the Crypt Keeper, and Danny Elfman does the theme song. This stars Lee Ehrenberg. He plays Marty Slash, the main guy in it. He's also from TV's Once Upon a Time. I really liked his facial expressions in this one. He does a good job. Gets that vein going. It's kind of gross.
That sweaty vein.
Yeah, sweaty vein. And Katie Sagal, who I really like. She's great in this. Married with Children, the voice of Leela in Futurama, Sons of Anarchy. And Iggy Pop's in this one, too, which is great. He's been in other movies, too, like Cry Baby and Tank Girl. But, I mean, he mostly is just playing and being Iggy Pop, but I definitely...
Easy role for him.
Yeah, I definitely, after this, want to check out, maybe... I've never really listened to Iggy and the Stooges, but I should probably check it out. I really like his energy. It's kind of similar to, like, Mick Jagger or David Bowie.
Yeah, he's very, very animated on stage. You know, that's his whole bit.
Yeah.
And he's usually mostly naked.
Yeah, usually. But, yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and read let's see, this episode aired May 22nd, 1990. And it says here, sex, death, and rock and roll, a scamming concert promoter can't escape the troubling voices in his head. Okay, so it opens up the Crypt Keeper. He's dressed up as a rock star. He has a wig and earrings, and he's making more puns about guitars and fingers. Just kind of opening up the episode here. I always like the way they make everything look.
Yeah. I mean, it's it's kind of funny seeing it with the Crypt Keeper in this because I read an article online a while back about what pop stars or rock stars would look like aged 100 years old. And the first thing I noticed about the Crypt Keeper in this is he looks like if Dave Mustaine was like 250 years old, you know?
That's awesome.
It's probably just the blonde wig, but yeah, I loved the way he looked in this.
Yeah, and I always love all the touches in the background and stuff. So this episode opens up, you got Marty Slash here, and he's being read his last rites, and he's heading for the electric chair, because this is the 90s, and it was still used a fair enough. I did look it up. I think the most recent one was like 2014 that someone was killed with an electric chair, but it's really pretty rare. It's only if lethal injection's not an option or something like that. So Marty Slash is heading to the electric chair, and he's super excited about it, and he's talking to somebody, but we're not sure who yet, and even the cops are like,
"You ever seen a guy in such a hurry to die?"
Yeah, so it's kind of setting up the episode with that. And then you find out it's a flashback from 2 years ahead in the future. So this one is set in a music club that we'll get to in a second here. So yeah, so he gets electrocuted. He looks pretty metal doing it.
It's weird, too, because it's one of those few instances where, you know, you see the main character of your episode die within the first minute, you know.
So you're like, well, where's this going? And then then, like I said, it's a flashback. So you're like, oh, okay. So 2 years earlier, he's at the I guess, ear, nose, and throat doctor, probably. And he's claiming that he hears something in his ear, and the doctor doesn't see anything or notice anything except for maybe just some decay of his hearing from owning a music venue or a rock club. So he's basically like, don't you hear it? You know, and even when he imitates the sound, it's kind of like a muffled voice, the way he does it.
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird the way he does it, especially since it doesn't seem like it's necessarily consistent with what we find out later.
Yeah.
But I think the implication is that, you know, there's just some muffled voice inside of him waiting to get out.
It's not anything like tinnitus or something where it's just like a pure, like, which is normally what you would have if you have severe hearing losses.
Right, you'd have ringing in your ears and stuff like that.
Would you describe what you hear as a ringing?
No, it's not a ringing.
Buzzing, then?
No, it's not a buzzing.
Well, then, what is it?
Is it like...
So the doctor tells him to, he needs to get out of the music business. that he's done severe damage to his ears, and he needs to take these drops and this cream and all this stuff. And he tells Marty that you should get out of the music business as soon as possible. And Marty's like, is this quick enough? Is tonight going to be quick enough? Because he's ready to bail, which you'll find out here soon. And now, one reason I had Dan come here is because we've both played shows out with our bands and stuff in the past. And so
yes,
we've definitely been around a lot of the loud amps and things like that. And so I usually would wear earplugs when I drummed. Did you ever wear them when you sang?
You know,
anything?
I never did. And, you know, predominantly I just screamed into the microphone for the most of my career. So it's weird because my problem with the headphones, and I think the reason why a lot of musicians don't wear not headphones, but earplugs.
Yeah.
I think the reason a lot of people don't wear them is because, like, it's incredibly hard to hear what your band's playing if it's muffled like that. Because, I don't know, like, if you're playing a show where maybe the sound guy's not that good or something and they don't mix in the monitors, or maybe there aren't monitors, you know, or anything.
Yeah,
I remember having this feeling that I can't hear the other musicians at all.
Well, and for the singer, it might be a little different because in the back, I'm kind of getting, it depends on where the monitors are if I'm hearing everything, but, or you can get the kind of earplugs that kind of have more of a filter on them, so like it kind of just focuses on the sound around you, but still cuts out the bad stuff.
Right. The really high frequencies it'll filter out,
So, I mean, I don't know if I always ever had those really, because I think they were a little more pricey. I just always had the squishy ones. You just stick in there. Because, then later you're walking around with them on and people are talking to you and you're like, I have no idea what you're saying because I have earplugs in, but...
Right.
But yeah, I do gotta say this club seems like it's ran fairly well for all the backstage stuff with like with them loading and stuff, because I don't know, I just always had weird times with loading, especially with the drum set.
Yeah, it seems like everything's going really according to plan, and I thought that was weird about this episode in the sense that the show seemed to be going relatively well and have a really good sound and everything, and I know it's for a TV show obviously, but it stood out as strange to me because number one, you know that the guy that runs the place is a piece of crap anyway, right? He doesn't seem really that well organized. Secondly, like with that much backstage like load in, you know, like I don't know, it just seemed like everything runs just extremely smooth for what it is, and it's just not my experience
and everyone's
in real
going
life.
Crazy, like you think someone would get in a fight or something, but everything's running pretty good. But so basically, Iggy Pop here is telling everyone to shut up, and you know he's just kind of bringing it. Lots of F word here.
All right, everybody, shut the fuck up. Yeah. There's one fucker here we have to fucking thank for putting this whole fucking thing together. It's his fucking idea. Gotta thank him for the fucking air we're fucking breathing right now. Because it's the fucking trees that make the fucking air. So let's show him how much we fucking love him! Marty Slash!
And so he's calling Marty up on the stage to thank him. Basically, Marty has put together enough donations to send $1 million to the Amazon rainforest to help trees or something, to help this guy and his tribe and these trees and everything. And so he pulls Marty up on stage and he kind of, you know, thanks everyone. And Iggy Pop's not with the Stooges in this one. Apparently they're called Leather Weasel.
Yeah. Iggy Pop and the Leather Weasel.
Sure.
I'll have to look up later and see if that was actually a real thing. It's entirely possible it was.
Yeah, that backup band was actually just called Leather Weasel. Oh, yeah. Another thing I kind of noticed, too, is Marty Slash, he's kind of a small dude. So he's kind of at the good range of the amplifier level, I was thinking. Like, when he walks around...
He's right at ear level.
Yeah,
with the
those
amps
amps
and
are
everything.
right there. So it's like, no wonder he has all this stuff. So they bring out this guy, and he's in this tribal wear, and his name is Chief Kabubi. And I'm like, sure it is.
Wow, yeah, that was that was wow. And it's weird, too, because, like, you know, there are concerts, you know, fundraising concerts and things for Save the Rainforest. And, like, it was very, very common in the 90s.
Yeah.
But what is interesting about it is that, like, you would think that, like, that would be a group of people, the fans as well as the band and everybody are relatively socially conscious.
Yeah.
And would find this image of an Amazon native, like, really offensive.
Well, yeah, and the fact that, yeah, he looks, I mean, he's almost close enough to having a bone in his nose. Like, that's how much he looks dressed
but
up.
he's clearly a white guy, like,
Yeah.
in makeup, yeah.
And what's crazy, too, is the fact that you would fly a guy from the Amazon, that, like, he wouldn't be terrified. Like, look where he's at. He has no idea what this prize stuff is. Maybe he never even was on an airplane before and all this. So then Iggy Pop jumps back in, and then you find out that Chief Kabubi is actually a guy named Sid that Marty had dressed up because he didn't want to fly a real Amazon in. And so he just kind of pays him off and tells him to take a cab home. So he's basically conning everyone. He's wanting this $1 million for himself. He's sick of being in the music business. And, you know, so there's some great music here with Iggy Pop. Basically, he just is Iggy Pop.
I hope you like this song.
Yeah, because it's the whole...
It's the only song they sing.
That's all he sings.
But let's talk about this $1 million for a minute.
Yeah.
Okay, how does Marty get $1 million in his piece of shit club?
It's not a horrible
It's actually
club.
a really nice club, but it's not $1 million
But yeah, it's not like
operation.
it's... And there's... I mean, it's a packed club, but it's like... Yeah, I don't know if he
There's
got
like 200
other...
people there, and that's like, what, $10 a ticket?
Yeah.
So like
In the
maybe
90s,
$2,000 at the
yeah.
end of the night.
I don't know if he got other businesses or something to pitch in, or maybe Iggy Pop helped a
Iggy
lot.
Pop, I don't think is that wealthy.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, like Iggy Pop might be worth it, you know, money now, but in 1990, to be able to just contribute a massive amount of towards $1 million.
Though I think for this episode, I think it was a pretty good get to get Iggy Pop on the show. I think.
Yeah, I'm
for
sure.
Tales from
I mean,
the
I'm
Crypt,
not saying that he's not popular or not successful, but it was just it just seemed like a little high. Like I could see like $100,000 donation.
Yeah, $1 million's a lot, and I've noticed that in some of the other episodes too. $1 million is usually kind of like where they like to kick off. You know, they'd be like, "Oh my gosh, $1 million," you know, or something. And
it was infinite money, I think, at that time. You know, with the value of the dollar in the 1990s.
And now that we have people who are billionaires, it's kind of like, you know.
Right. Yeah, $1 million doesn't hold the weight it does it did in the 90s in 2017.
And so Marty's back up in his office, and he's getting ready to get the money out of his Alice Cooper safe, which I thought was kind of cool. And
interesting place where they put the lever.
Yeah, right on Alice Cooper's mouth.
Yeah.
And he opens up the safe to get the money out, which is lovingly packed up like you do with the bands and stuff, which that's still a lot of money just sitting around. That would make me nervous.
Absolutely, yeah.
Having that money sitting around like there. And so as he's opening the safe, he hears a voice, and the voice is telling him to not mess with the money or anything like that. And it's basically Marty's conscience.
Don't touch that money.
Who's there?
There's no there, Marty. Just me.
Who's me?
Your conscience.
My conscience? I don't have a conscience.
And the voice of it is Sam Kinison, who is a pretty famous comedian who passed away a couple years after that in a car accident. But he was very known, I think, for being a little more loud and flamboyant and stuff. So he played this role pretty good.
Yeah, it was very loud, and it was a little unnerving. Like, he had kind of an annoying voice.
Yeah. It was definitely something that would, like, eat at you, which it helps with the stuff. So basically Marty is hearing a voice, and the voice finally was able to get clear as he's going to get the money, because he's planning on taking off to go to another country before that check can bounce that he wrote, so that they can't catch him.
Yeah, this was such a weird sequence. Because, I mean, I think at first, you know, obviously, like, the show wants us to think that this is the first time he's heard the voice, which I think is a little inconsistent, like, because at the beginning he was hearing something, but I guess it was just, like, muffled.
Yeah, I think, well, because, like, the voice does say, I've been trying to get to you for, like, 38 years.
Okay.
And it's like, I think it's just been slowly getting louder and louder and louder, you know?
Or he drowned it out with the music.
Yeah.
Or something.
Like,
I think
maybe
that's
that
what the
has been
implication
helping, too,
is.
yeah.
Yeah.
He got into a job that was so loud and everything, he could just drown all that out. And then so finally, as he's going for this money, his little conscience comes out and is like, this is a felony. You shouldn't do this. And he's just like, I think, you know, I'm just going crazy. I'm just nervous.
Yeah.
You know, that I'm taking this money. And so he starts packing up the money in one of those businessy suitcases that usually have money in it. And doesn't look conspicuous at all.
Not even close. It's funny, too, because I'm looking at that briefcase, and I'm like, he could probably fit a whole lot more money in that briefcase than what he's putting in there.
If some of it around, yeah, he could probably fit all that in there. And so basically, Marty's conscience is just telling him, you know, all the different things that could happen to him, and that he should confess. He's going to get caught, and You know, and Marty's basically saying, like, I have no life. I need to get out of here. Owning this club for 12 years has ruined me, and I'm sick of all the bands complaining, and it's like, that's kind of part of the job, man.
Yeah, and it's weird, too, again, being like a club. Like, maybe he has really top dollar acts play. I mean, obviously he had Iggy Pop playing at his club, but it's one of those weird things where, in my experience being in a band, I mean, and obviously my band never was on the same level as this, but it's just weird. These all the demands, they want this and they want that. And I'm like, in my opinion, the promoter was always the harder person to deal with. Which I think is very consistent here. I imagine that he is probably like a lot of promoters that I've met and club owners.
And one more thing, I wanted to stop you there. Like right around this time too, there's also a scene where Iggy Pop is getting so excited he's got to get some more naked, and he's starting to like unbutton his pants, and this lady is, you know, getting naked as well. And I'm like, I don't know if that's never happened at any club I've been at.
Yeah, I've never been at a concert, never even been to, not just playing there, where people were taking their clothes off. So.
Well, I mean, yeah, I think I heard of one when I went to Ozfest when I was like 17.
I was gonna say that Ozfest, maybe, yeah.
There was some girls doing some stuff, but other than that, at just a local club. First of all, if I was, I think most people, if at any of the clubs I played at, would be like, you need to put your shirt back on. Like, right. I don't think a lot of people would be like,
hey,
you know.
There's children here.
Yeah.
And the singer of the band's up there like, fuck y'all, you motherfuckers. And yeah, it's so funny.
We're trying to mosh here. Do you mind, you know? Yeah, because a lot of the places I played, I was more, I mean, I did some metal, but some was indie. So it's some of it, you're just kind of, everyone's just kind of like trancing out while you play, you know, kind of stuff. So, I mean, the most problems I had was once I played at the High Point in St. Louis before. I don't think it's still around anymore.
God, do you remember that was the venue that had like the stairs?
Yeah, that's what I was getting ready to tell you.
Carry your drums all the way up those freaking stairs.
Yeah. Oh. First of all, it took forever to find the place because I wasn't very used to the city at that time. I was like 19. And then I get there and they're like, yeah, you load up here. And I open the door and it's just a huge staircase. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me?
They're punking me, right? No, like it's not just a clever name, the High Point, you know, like. So
finally, we get them all up there, and I'm exhausted, and then they're like, "Can play your show?" And I'm like, "Great!" And so yeah, so he gets a knock at the door here in his office as he's getting ready to leave. You know, the voice is like, "Uh-oh, they're on to you," you know, all this stuff, and trying to make him more paranoid. And the guy playing Marty / here, I think that's Lee Ehrenberg. He does a really good job of getting more and more paranoid.
He's very animated and just very all over the place, and his facial expressions are just priceless.
So he opens the door to a pair of boobs, and you find out those boobs are attached to Katie Sagal. And she's...
yeah, they are.
Yeah, and she's coming in, she's all dressed, all hot with a black hair and leather and everything. And she's basically saying that she wanted to meet the man who raised the money for the Amazon and wanted to thank him. And Marty's like, okay, that's fine, but I gotta get going, so let's make this quick, you know, and so...
Very romantic.
Yes, very romantic. Yes. And, I mean, I also like, there's a lot of focus on the ears and stuff with this episode because of the voices. I do like some of the camera angles. They kind of do a fisheye lens a little bit when he's really starting to get paranoid. Mm-hmm. And so they head over to the couch. At first thinks she's maybe like a hooker, and you basically find out as she's coming on to him and everything that she's his banker.
I'm not a hooker. I'm a banker.
A banker?
Your banker, Marty. Your personal banker. Next in line, please. Oh, good morning, Mr. Slash. Will you be needing a receipt today? We have a wonderful rate on our 6-month T-bill.
Miss Kielbasa.
Her name is Miss Kielbasa. I've never heard of anyone having that last name. And she's basically in costume, so she takes off her black wig, and because she normally has red hair, so she takes that out. She looks much better without the wig.
I was going to say, she's much more attractive without the wig.
I think that she's a natural red, so she's much, much better. And she basically, you know, is his banker, and she knows exactly what he's up to because she helped him send the check in the money order for the $1 million and is catching on to him getting out of there. So, you know, he's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that's you. And she's like, yeah, and she wants half the money. So she wants $500,000, which is a little much.
It's pretty generous, actually.
I guess because she's not turning him in.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously you take your half of the money and then you turn him in and say that because I think that's probably where it would have gone. You know,
that's true.
Say that he took half of the money.
Yeah, because she finds out he's going to Lisbon, Portugal to run away, which she says is a good place because of just, just different, it's hard to get out of there, and the dollar is good there or whatever, the money. But really, yeah, she could just do that, and then when he gets there, be like, yeah, he went to Portugal, and you should go find him.
I'm surprised he didn't offer to, like, take her with him or something like that. But then again, he's also crazy. And what I think is funny about this scene, really, that struck me is that, like, she's all dolled up and sexed up and, like, smoking a cigarette and, like, just looked good, but then, like, he could not look less appealing as a man.
He's not too bad.
He's not a bad-looking guy, but he's
just
portrayed.
So paranoid.
But he's portrayed like when he's walking over to her at the beginning and has this dumb look on his face. He has almost like a chimpanzee expression on his face.
It's like, calm down, dude. It's a chick. Like you don't have to get that.
You got people getting naked out on your dance floor. I mean, you can't
tell me you haven't had a pair of boobs in your face. Like
he's just got this look on his face where he just could not look less appealing as a dude. And that's your first visual clue that, like, yeah, she's definitely trouble, which is what the voice is trying to tell him the whole time.
She's trouble, man. And he calls him a toad. He's like, what would she do with a toad like you?
Right.
And so she gets the money, and she said she wants the $500,000. So at first he was like, no way, and then he kind of gets this idea, like, sure, I'll let her get the money. So she takes it out and she starts counting it, because she's a banker. And,
I know, they can't, like, she can't just say it and that'd be good enough. She has to know the value of currency in other countries. Yeah, come on.
Yep, she knows all about money.
She's a banker. Yeah.
Which really, I think, I don't know, $250,000 I'd be fine with. Any, $50,000 maybe. I don't even. Yeah. I mean,
$12.
Yeah. Do you want to just?
If I could get a McRib, then that'd be great. Yeah.
Yes, it is the season of the McRib.
Yes, it is.
I have not had one in a long time.
I've had 3 so far.
They're okay.
They're not great, but I can't resist the exclusivity of it.
Well, the fact that it's formed to look like it has bones in it, but it doesn't.
It reminds me of the dinosaur meat that they used to eat on the Flintstones.
Oh yeah.
And that's why I really, especially in the Flintstones movies,
you like feeling
the meat
like
they
Fred
eat
Flintstone?
looks almost exactly like that. But anyway, back to the episode.
As she's counting the money, he's closing the curtains. And he's basically, acting like he's fine. She's fine with what she's doing and stuff. But he's eyeing his guitar that he got from Pete Townsend, he says. As the voice is telling him not to do it, he decides to smash Miss Kilboss's head in. Which really, it wasn't super gory or anything. It's really just, they don't really show a whole lot until after. But he hits her like 8 times, But yeah. you were saying the guitar didn't break or anything.
Well, yeah, see, that's what bugged me the most about this, is that there's blood all over her. There's blood on the money.
Yeah.
There's blood everywhere. But
not really on him either. Like
no, not on him at all. And the guitar doesn't break, and it's a hollow body guitar.
Yeah, the strings don't even pop.
Strings don't pop or anything. No. And I find it hard to believe. Like, I don't know if anybody that's listening has ever smashed a guitar before. I have a couple of times. And I can admit that it is really difficult to smash a solid body guitar.
Yeah.
But a hollow body, those things just break apart, man. They're
it's
amazing.
Not a clean break either.
It's almost like balsa wood, it's very thin. And I'm not 100% convinced that you could even kill anybody with a hollow body guitar. Maybe you could strangle them with the strings.
But she might not even technically be dead, really. She could just be like really unconscious or something.
That's what I'm going to go with. Just say that. Yeah.
So, like, no one hears it because, Iggy Pop's out there rocking out to the same song he was rocking out to earlier. So he decides to store her body in an old bass drum case, which really, you could fit in that, really. I used to have one of those.
She's a pretty big woman. I don't think she could fit in there.
She is tall, though, yeah.
Which, they kind of make fun of that.
Yeah.
In the sense that he's, like, stuffing her legs down in there and everything.
I guess that's her body. I'm assuming I don't think that's a dummy.
Yeah.
And so he stores her inside the case. In the meantime, a cop shows up because there's been noise complaints about the volume being so high, which really, as a club owner, usually you try to watch that kind of stuff.
I think it's weird that there's a established music venue that, according to him, has been going for 12 years, and I don't know if the cop's there every night, but like all of a sudden now the sound is too much,
and the fact that I don't know if the guy, the sound guy's name is Spud, which of course it is, and the fact that, I mean, maybe he just turned it up because he really likes Iggy Pop and got away with it.
Possible.
But what cracks me up is he's actually at his sound station. Like, usually the guys would just set the sound when I'd play a show.
I thought you just hit the bar
and then they'd
that,
leave. Yeah. Like, you know, and you're like, okay, well, I guess that's it. They do the sound check and be
I
like,
don't know,
peace.
though. I've run sound at a few shows before, and...
you stick around?
I usually stay at the board.
Because, I've had a couple where they're just like, okay, peace, did you need your volume up? Nope, sorry, we already did the sound check.
Because I don't want the band or somebody coming up there and adjusting their own levels.
That's true. You don't ever want to do that anyway.
Yeah.
Like, I would never even. So, this cop shows up. Marty's voice in his head is like, this is it. You know, they're after you. This is, you know, they're going to catch on. And there's blood all over the money. Somehow he can figure, he gets it all.
But not on the floor, not on the walls,
but there was
not
some on
him.
the desk, too, I think. So I don't know where he put that.
Yeah.
So, the cop has one of the workers open the door. And as he walks in.
I think your best shot is a temporary insanity plea. From where I sit, you definitely have a case.
I'm not listening to you.
I think we just hit on the problem. You don't listen to me. Never have. I'm just gonna have to speak up! Oh! Oh!
Open it. Love hurts. It hurts.
Marty's pretending to rock out to Love Hurts. With his guitar that's not plugged in.
That has no blood on it.
No blood on
I
it.
cannot stress this enough. His non-broken,
His very clean guitar.
non-bloody guitar. Yes.
And he's just like, oh, hey, officer, you know, what's up? And so he tells him about the noise complaint and that they need to turn it all down. And so he calls down to Spud, who's, like I said, at his sound station, and turns it down. And, I mean, the sound booth that he's at is actually pretty exposed.
How did Spud even hear this phone ringing?
I know, right? I guess it lights up, maybe.
It's weird that they communicate via phone.
Yeah.
It's just all weird.
So I guess it lights up, and the sound station's, like, kind of in the middle of the crowd, which is weird. You think a lot of people would be like, ha, you know, playing with it.
Sure.
And so, basically, you know, the cop wants him to calm it down. So he tells Spud. Spud turns it down. And then he's like, you know, did you need anything else, officer? And he's getting more and more nervous because his voice keeps telling him, you know, you should just confess. Just, if you do it now, you'll be less trouble. And so he's like, you know, is there anything else I can do for you, officer? And, you know, he's like, just whatever, keep it down. And so he gets ready to leave, and he sees the bass drum case, which is property of Donny Osmond, which I feel would not
totally
play
random.
Here. Yeah, I don't think, and they're saying, like, I think that he was there recently, and it's like, I don't know.
Yeah, 1990.
They're an all genre music club, apparently. Like,
Fair enough. It looks like a metal club to me,
Yeah.
or at least a hard rock punk kind of
Yeah.
thing. I think it's worth noting too that Marty looks clearly insane.
Yeah,
already at this point,
he's
like,
more and more. Yeah, he's really starting to sweat. That vein in his head is popping. So he's, you know, the Miss Kilboss's body's in the bass drum thing, and so he tells the other worker, like, yeah, the club's called the Spit Club. I'm pretty sure it's mostly rock. Like, I'm just.
Yeah, I would think so.
And so the poor guy has to drag this bass drum case with a woman in it. Definitely more heavy than a
And he
bass
looks
drum.
like a strong guy. That's what makes it so funny. Is he looks like the kind of guy that usually carries equipment. You know.
Yeah, and so he's got to go load up this set, which somehow during the show they're loading up a truck to take stuff somewhere else. I don't know what.
Maybe it's the opening band's equipment, or I don't know what the deal is, but they're taking stuff out of his office, which doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, well, they were going to get that bass drum back to Donny Osmond, but I don't know why putting it on a truck is going to.
Yeah, where's that truck going?
Take it anywhere, which is another thing of what I was thinking about everyone being on their game at this club. Because while the show's going on, they're outside like, yeah, let's load stuff up.
Yeah, I've never experienced that in real life. It's like a total clusterfuck every single time.
I mean, if I ever owned a club, I would hope it would run this nice. You know, the cop leaves and they took the body away, and so Marty's like, okay, all I gotta do is get out of here, and this whole time his voice is getting louder and louder, and so he starts pouring the medicine and everything and sticking a bunch of Q-tips in his ear to stop the voice because he thinks that's going to get it to the voice, even though it's in his head and not in his ear. So the voice is just getting louder and louder. And yeah, so there's all the black stuff from his, I don't know what kind of medicine would be
It's so
black.
gross, yeah. You never even see the black stuff coming out of his ears or anything
Yeah.
either, which is kind of weird. Like,
But
it's
he's
all just down
really
in there.
shoving those Q-tips in there.
Oh. This part is so hard for me to watch.
Are you not into ear stuff? That's not.
I'm not
good
into
for
ear
you.
stuff. This was rough.
See, mine's more nose. Things
Yeah.
with the nose. I like that.
So like with Egyptian stuff where they stick the
Yeah,
things up in the
yeah,
nose
we
and
don't need
pull-
that.
Okay.
Like, I mean, the fact that you can do that would weird me out, but at least you're dead when they do that.
It's true.
So he
But what
wants,
if you aren't?
Well, you would hope he would be by then. Right. Once they get to, I mean, it's
hopefully they do the brain last.
So he wants to stick a pencil in his ear, which is kind of freaky, but he decides not to because he's like, you know what, I got a plane to catch. If I can just make it out this door, through the club, to my driver who's already out there waiting for me. He's got the briefcase. He's really looking paranoid now. I don't know why you just don't run.
He literally, like, this is the longest somebody walking down a flight of stairs and walking out a door I've ever seen.
Just run and don't look. But the whole time the voice is making him paranoid, saying, like, you know, everyone's going to know. They can hear me. They can hear me talking and telling them what you did and everything. And so as Marty's going through, you know, he's looking at people and everyone's kind of looking at him weird and walking through. And really, I mean, the door is, like, right there. And as he gets closer to the door, the cop's in the way. So he decides to jump into the bathroom to kind of hide out until the cop's gone, because that cop is sticking around for some reason.
It's a super weird scene, and right now the voice is trying to convince him that other people can hear the voice.
Yeah, and that, you know, because the voice keeps saying, like, I did it, I killed her, you know, and all this stuff.
I killed my banker. Well, zip up your pants and get the cop. You hear that? Yeah, tell the cop I stuffed the bitch in Donny Osmond's glove case.
And in the bathroom, as he's at the urinal, all the other people were looking at him. There's even a transgender woman at the urinal, which I thought was interesting.
Very progressive. Tales from the Crypt.
Congratulations. And
or she just couldn't, she didn't know where else to pee. I mean, would you sit in the toilets in this bathroom?
But would you just hold your skirt up and stand at a urinal, or would you go into the toilet?
I mean, I guess I would if I had a dick.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, okay, fair enough.
I mean, everyone was cool with it, you know? She was just like, you know, it's fine. And so, so everyone's looking at him weird, you know, everyone's running out of the bathroom. This bathroom could use some cleaning. I mean, it's a typical rock club bathroom, though. I've seen a lot of those. Mm-hmm. Gives you stuff to read, you know? And so, he's like, no way they heard, even though everyone keeps looking at him weird, he thinks that they gotta be hearing this voice, because, I mean, he can hear it, and it's super loud.
It's like literally screaming in his head to the point of making him want to scream. Yeah,
and he's really starting to sweat, you know, and so he goes outside into the club, and he really could have just turned to the right and ran. Like, it was right there. But he's so paranoid that everyone knows. I guess he's afraid that if he leaves, he's never going to get out anyway.
They've also really cleverly made it to where you can only see his right ear.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't notice this until until the big reveal later on. But yeah. You don't notice it at first, and then when I was watching it a couple times later, you're kind of you're like, oh wow, that's really convenient. Oh God, there's the vein.
Yeah, that vein is
the vein in its full glory. He's just got this long pulsing vein on his bald head, and it's so disgusting.
And so he tells Spud to crank that music up, and everyone in the concert's like, yeah, that's awesome. But the cop is just still leaving, and he hears it and gets really mad and comes back inside. And so the music's really loud, and the whole time the voice is still screaming at him, and he's like, I can't hear you. The music's loud, and I don't know why he still hasn't left yet. But for some reason, he's just lost his mind. And then there's half-naked Iggy Pop still rocking out to the same song.
His pants are almost down at this point.
Mm-hmm. Same song. It's been like a 20-minute song. And yeah, so he gets up there and, I don't know, I think he's just trying to get rid of this voice. So he runs up to the amp and he starts like bashing his head into the amp, trying to get this voice to go away. And so everyone's kind of looking at him like, I don't know what's happening. Iggy Pop's into it. He's like, yeah, that's cool. Smash your head into the amp.
Yeah, he just thinks that the club owner's really into the song they've been playing for the past 20 minutes.
And so the cop makes Spud turn the volume down. And as he does that, like, his head, Marty's head goes into the amp. Did he break the amp or no? He might just got in.
I can't tell. The shadows are really...
Yeah. And so now everyone's kind of watching him, and the cop's mad, you know, and you can tell he's paranoid, so everyone at the show is kind of concerned. And so he's up on stage in front of the band, and he admits to killing the banker while holding the suitcase of money. He was so close to get out.
Right.
I didn't mean to kill my banker.
Check it out.
All I wanted to do was steal the Amazon money.
What?
It's okay. It's all right here. It's right here. She tried to get half of it. I couldn't let her do that. I had to smash her in the head with my guitar.
And everyone's like, dude, what now? You know, they're like, why'd you kill her, man? That's sad. And so he starts throwing the money out, which I'd be pretty excited about that.
Not really. I thought it was really interesting that they didn't really grab it. Like, they sort of realized, they're like, wait a minute. My ticket, which must have cost $300 to get you guys up to $1 million.
You get your money back for your ticket, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of people were kind of grabbing, but then most people were just like, that's not cool, man. Like, we're supposed to be breathing in air from these trees.
Right,
you know? Like,
and you're killing our trees.
You ruined all of it.
You asshole.
And so he admits to how he killed her right in front of the cop, who is probably like, I'm totally getting a medal for this one. And so he ends up, doing all that. And so the voice is like, good, you confessed, that's great. But then as they circle around the camera, you find out that he had a bloody Q-tip piece. A bloody Q-tip piece hanging out of his ear this whole time. And it's been bleeding down into his neck. You can kind of see where it's been bleeding and stuff. And that's what which I don't know how you didn't feel that. But that's what everyone's been looking at this whole time. It's not that that they can hear his voice at all, that conscience voice at all. So it's kind of a fun little twist.
Yeah, it was cool, and it's definitely one that, holds up.
Yeah, he definitely would have got away with it, most likely.
Well, and how they did a really good job of, hiding the ear from us without us really knowing why. I kind of suspected something was going on early on because I couldn't tell if he had the briefcase in his hand or not, and I didn't know if that's the angle that they were going to take, like he was going to get out the door but not have the briefcase.
Yeah,
and then be trapped.
run in and then have to, or get to the airport. That would be something.
Yeah, so I thought that was interesting. I also have to say, too, that the cop in this episode is awesome.
Why?
He just has this general, he's just pissed off the entire time he's on screen.
That's true.
And he looks completely sarcastic, and, it's just almost the best portrayal of a real human being that I've seen in this episode.
And like he was saying, he's gotten, 30 calls about this concert, and he's just like...
He's done, man.
Turn it down, man. I'm saying, I'm sure this isn't the only time he's ever done that. I'm sure they get calls all the time. Yeah. I know some clubs... they usually have a curfew. They have till 11 o'clock on weekdays or something to play, and then after that you gotta shut it down. So, hard telling if it's 2 in the morning right now. So now it cuts back, he's in his jail cell, it's the 2 years have passed, he's eating his last meal to go to the electric chair, and Marty's little voice inside is still talking.
Oh, I know. In the last remaining moments, let's go over those 10 Commandments a few more times. Let's see. You want to go first or shall I? All right, I'll go. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not steal. Boy, you've done all these, haven't you, Marty?
I was you've done all these, Marty?
Yeah, he's you've committed all these crimes. And Marty, the cops there say he's pretty deaf now. So, I guess probably from jamming all those Q-tips in there. So he's pretty much deaf. All he can hear is this conscience voice, which I'm sure is much worse. What does it mean, deafer than a doornail? I've heard that so many times, but dead as a doornail,
Dead as a doornail, getting that it's an inanimate object.
I
Deaf?
guess.
Has somebody ever said deaf as a doornail?
I guess not. Deaf as a door. That's what they
what's
said.
What's a good one? Deaf as a... No.
Blind as a bat.
Blind as a bat, which isn't accurate anyway.
Yeah, that's not right either. But yeah, so, I don't know. I've never really heard...
Yeah, I haven't either. That's interesting. After all this ear talk.
Yeah.
I thought this was a really cool episode.
Yeah, it's a pretty fun one. And then, it cuts back to, the Crypt Keeper. He's still dressed up and playing guitars and things like that. Making his puns and all that. But what I was thinking, too, is, I guess he did confess eventually, and the voice didn't go away. I was wondering if maybe he would have confessed in the beginning before even killing the person. Would the conscience stop? Or was it because he wanted to confess and he did? But then all through jail for 2 years, he just keeps talking.
Well, this was an interesting episode in the sense that obviously Tales from the Crypt is not afraid to go supernatural. However, this episode, everything that happens in it, as silly and animated as it was all completely plausible. He could have been a schizophrenic with
That's
a voice
true.
in his head and, causing him to do all this stuff or whatever. Obviously the sequence of events and the decisions that were actually made were kind of I don't know if that would happen in real life or not. But as far as premise goes, this was all completely plausible.
Yeah, that's true. There wasn't really anything supernatural or anything. So that could be it. Maybe he just had a mental health issue, and that voice was never going to go away.
Yeah, for sure.
It was his own. He just couldn't. It wasn't anything like a little man inside of his head. It was actually just. Could be that. Yeah,
and he caused himself to go deaf.
Yeah, by jabbing the Q-tips.
Yeah, well, it was either jabbing the Q-tips, or honestly, it may have just been the head and the speaker. Because we're not sure if he's deaf or not, when he's on the stage. He's just yelling all that stuff.
That's true.
The only thing he can really hear is the voice in his head.
And the doctor in the beginning did say he really meant, he's really damaged his ears. And usually when a doctor says that, they're they're like, it's pretty bad. Like, it's...
Which I thought was kind of weird, because, like, if you are into music as much as he must have been to open his own music club and to have extensive hearing damage, you'd think that he would be, like, this really, really big music fan. But for whatever reason, he doesn't come across that way.
Yeah, I don't think he really is. I think he just does it for money, and he's just sick of dealing with people's problems and stuff. But yeah, if you're gonna own something like that, you wanna, have at least, most people I think who own it have usually been in bands, or just, yeah, it was a pretty fun episode. Crypt Keeper, you're so punny. So the best Crypt Keeper pun in this one is...
You'll meet a putrefied promoter of pop with an ear for a hit. I don't want to kill it for you. Let's just say we come into the story just when his career is getting real hot.
I didn't see any trivia on IMDb for this episode. The next episode will be Season 2, Episode 9, Four-Sided Triangle. Dan, I want to thank you for being on here.
Yeah, no problem. This is a ton of fun.
Is there anything you wanted to plug?
Yeah, in case you didn't know, I also host a podcast called Discography Discussion.
Yeah, I was on a few weeks ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we're a heavy metal podcast, and we discuss bands' discographies from beginning to end. It's a ton of fun. We interview guests from a lot of the bands that we talk about, and it's a ton of fun. And you can check us out at www.discussmetal.com.
All right, cool. Thanks. And again, you can like, rate, review, subscribe. If you have any emails or anything you want to send me, it's goodeveningpod@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.
I just had quite a scare. I actually thought my heart was